Hey guys, it's Maymay, and today we're making a super fun project. It's going to be a two-part video, it'll have to be, but for today, we're going to make the most fun part to me. So I'm going to use this paper pack called A Slice of Summer by Echo Park. It has inspired me, and I'm going to make a picnic basket that holds mini Slimline cards. So it'll be a perfect gift for someone or something for yourself. So let's get started. So what you're going to need first is a couple of pieces of paper to be the base of your picnic basket. And I'm pulling from my stash to do this because all of the paper in the collection are just one single sheet. So I'm going to let this be my base and this be my lid. I think that'll be cute. So for these, we're going to need to cut these down. So these pieces need to be 7 3/4. I've stacked them up on top of each other to do the cut, and all of the measurements will be in the blog post for you guys, so you don't have to keep up with them now. You'll just be able to get them from the blog post. It's also linked in the description below. So 7 3/4 by 10 1/2. Now, why am I having to do this? So I want this project to hold Slimline cards, and I needed the base to be a little bigger than I could get out of a single sheet of 12 by 12. So we're having to do a little fancy footwork. It's not really that hard, just a little bit. Now we're going to score this. So we're going to take both, well, not both. We're going to take one of these pieces. We're going to score them both, but one at a time. And this guy right here, I'm going to turn it on the 7 3/4 side, and we are going to score it at 3 3/4. I'm just going to come right up here and score it 3 3/4. And then I'm also going to score it at 7 1/4. Now, this score mark is not for folding. This is just a design mark or a reference mark, okay? So we'll need that in a few minutes, but this one we will actually fold. Now we're gonna turn it, and on this side, we're gonna score at 3 3/4 and at 6 3/4. Now you may start to notice that your center is not as wide as your edges. That's okay, we don't need them to be. We want these two to be the same size. Now your other piece, you're going to score it the very same. So we're going to put this in on the 7 3/4 side. We're going to score it 3 3/4, and then at 7 1/4. We're going to turn it and score at 3 3/4 and at 6 3/4. I want to tell you a little tip. I've noticed if I hold my bone folder this way when I score, I get a better score. Instead of sideways with these larger ones, I don't know why that is, but I get a much better score that way. So a little tip. All right, now let's work on the lid cuts and scores. Now for the lid, you're going to need a piece that is 9 1/8 by 5 1/8. And no, 1/8. We hate doing them, but when you're doing lids, you need them to sit over the base of the box, so you need a little bit of give. So 9 and then 5 1/8. Go. And this will be what we use to make our lid. So let's score it. Now for scoring on this one, we're going to do a couple things. First, we're going to score 1 inch all the way around. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my bone folder and just score an inch, score an inch, score an inch, and then score an inch. The point behind doing it this way, so many of you guys have been reminding me of this lately. I guess I have gotten out of the habit of doing this way because there's been so many comments telling me to do it easier. I'm sorry, I got out of the habit. So an inch all the way around. And then on the long side, okay, I want you to score it at 4 and at 5. So that's going to be the center of our picnic lid. All right, let's put this guy together. Okay, so with one of your 7 3/4 by 10 1/2 pieces, this is going to be the base of our picnic basket. And the picnic basket is going to be rectangle, and we're going to get that from this area, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to make our slices here. So at the bottom section, you can see these score marks. We're going to slice straight up on the right-hand side of our score mark. We're cutting the score mark away, okay? So I've sliced to the right-hand side of it, and then over here on the left-hand side, I'm gonna make an angle. Y'all know how we do this. This is just to get bulk out when we go to assemble. So you can see here, I cut straight up on the right-hand side of the score line here, and then angled up here. Now what we're gonna do is turn it, and we're gonna do the same thing, but opposite, okay? So this time I'm gonna cut to the left-hand side of the score mark, still doing the same thing, and then I'm going to angle to the right-hand side. If you don't want to have to do it opposite, then when you're working here, just flip it, and you can do the same thing, all right? But this is what you're looking for. Now, I've already done my other one as well, so let me bring it over. So you can see here that I've got them all cut. Now, these score marks, remember how I told you these were just going to be reference marks? That's exactly what they are. So I'm going to turn my paper like this, and I've got my score marks showing here, and I'm going to get my adhesive. Now, I'm using Elizabeth tape here, and it fits perfect. And I'm going to run it from one end to the other. This is where we're going to extend our paper out. This is how we're getting longer paper. So we're going to do that on one of the score marks and the other score mark. Now, I have to caution you. If you are using two different papers for your base, I don't know why you would be, but if you are, you're going to have to pay attention to this. For me, it doesn't matter because my paper is the same. So no matter which way I lay this, it'll be right. But you'll see what I mean in just a second. All right, I'm going to peel back and reveal our adhesive on both pieces, just like so. And then what we're going to do, we're going to lay one piece this way. Okay, and I'm kind of using my cutting mat to help me out here. We're going to use that score mark to help us put this adhesive down as well. So we're going to flip this adhesive facing down, and we're going to line up score mark to score mark. This is going to add so much stability, and it's also extending our paper. All right, so I've added it to one score mark on one end, and I'm going to turn it where I can see my other score mark, and I'm just matching up my score marks and sticking that down together. So see, now we have a much longer piece of paper. Now don't worry about these workings. I'm gonna hide those in the end. Now we can fold and assemble our box. So let's start folding. I'm gonna fold this side down. I just noticed that my bruise is showing. I apologize if y'all see that bruise and you're worried about it. I was walking through the house and there was a drawer slightly pulled out and my arm hit it. And I went, well, that's gonna leave a mark, and it did. So there you go. All right, so fold this up. I would have put a Band-Aid on it, but what an awkward place for a Band-Aid, right? And then this side. Now you'll notice the base of our box is only 3 inches, and that's fine. We don't really need more than that for putting mini Slimline cards in, because that's gonna hold a lot. 3 inches will hold a lot of cards and envelopes. If you're making it for something else and you need to adjust, feel free, but I think a 3-inch box holds a good bit of things. All right, let's get this side folded and squared up. And our last one folded and squared up. All right, now these flaps are gonna fold to the inside and glue to our front flaps, creating even more stability. Now I'm to the wet glue time, okay? Instead of playing with my sticky tape at this point, I'm just gonna use my wet glue here because this will work just fine. And I have found if I go ahead and glue both, it's really easy to assemble. These pieces here are going to wrap over in the middle, so you'll see they'll overlap in the center, and that's good. We want them to be together. But this is the piece we want to square everything up on. So when you bring it up, this is where you play around with your pieces and get everything as square as you can. Now remember, you're not going to get it perfectly square. And why is that? Because of score marks. It's impossible. Score marks don't fall the same way every single time. No matter what you do, you're going to have some lift or fall in places because of your score marks. You'll know what I'm talking about. I got glue everywhere, y'all. I'll clean all that off in just a second. But like right here, I can barely see the paper sticking up. It's just a score mark situation, and it won't affect the finished project. All right, I'm gonna glue these guys on the very same way. If you do like me and you get glue where you don't want it, use your Mono Sand Eraser. It works really well to get glue off. I had to do this earlier on a project I was working on, and I was like, wow, this works really good. So there is our base. Now it is a taller than normal picnic basket, and that's because of the cards I'm gonna be putting inside. All right, so we can put that aside and work on our lid. The lid's kind of fun. I went a little wacky on it, and you may not want to go this wacky, and you don't have to, but I went a little wacky. Let me put my pen in my glue before I forget. All right, so with this guy, I'm gonna see if you can see these score marks. You remember the 4 and 5 we did in the middle? That's what we're gonna cut. If you lose it, if you cannot see your score marks, go ahead and fold so you can see where they are. I can see that one now. It's right on one of the grain pieces. That's funny. And then let's fold this one in. I can't find it. There it is. So go ahead and fold those if you need to so you can see where you're cutting, and even use the back side if it's better. Now, we're going to cut this square away, and I'm going to cut it so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to cut, I want to tell you something. If you're gonna make a wide cut, this is the place to do it. You'll see in the end what I mean. But I'm gonna cut both score marks away. So that means I'm gonna cut to the outside of the score mark, up to my first 1-inch mark there. And the same thing here, outside of the score mark, up to my first 1-inch point there. And if you go a little wide here, this is the place you want to do it, because you can use that, you can use for this to be a little wider. Now that I look at this, I may not cut this away. I may glue this down. Let me see what the other side looks like. I did make a prototype of this, and I love the way it turned out, but I'm thinking that might add a little stability to this section. So I may just fold that down and then use that for stability. I think I will. That won't look bad, especially if you're not using a double-sided paper like I am. And I think this will be, I love to add any little bit of extra support that I can. Oh, you know what we gotta do before we do that though? Glad I noticed this. Because I'm gonna lay that down, I'm gonna have to trim this section too so that it doesn't overlap my score mark. You'll see this when you go to make it. You're gonna have to trim that score mark away completely. I'll do it neater on the other side since I don't have glue over there to show you what I'm doing. But we're gonna have to do that or else it's gonna impede our score mark on the top. Look, we're just flying by the seat of our pants. Not really, I actually made a prototype of this one, which I rarely do. This way, our score mark here in the middle can fold without being, yeah, there we go. All right, so let me flip this one over and show you what I did. So I just am cutting away the score mark all together and trimming it off here. And that way, we don't mess with it when we lay this guy down on the top side. This is one of those things when you're making this, it'll be like, oh yeah, I see why she's doing that now. Okay, so now, little glue, flip that down. I think I'm gonna like the stability that will give to the middle. That'll be nice. All right, so now what we need to do is some more cuts. So let's go ahead and make our fold so we can see all our cuts, especially me. This paper is really hard to see today with all these little wood stripes. So I'm gonna fold and crease all of my marks. Let's fold this one up. And the same on this end. And now what I want to do is I want to cut straight up here and do an angle and let this be the piece that turns in. So cutting at the inside of the score mark and then making my angle, okay? That'll be the piece that turns in for the lid. Let's do the same thing here. So cutting the score mark away and then cutting my angle. Same on both ends. Now this is where things are going to get a little wacky. So I thought this would be cute if our lid had a bunch of little rounded corners. And so I did that on my prototype, which I thought turned out cute. And so I'm going to show you how I did it, and I think it'll be cute here too. But this means we have to corner round every single square corner on this lid. I'm going to be using my 1/4 inch rounder. And in some places, it's not a big deal, okay? But let me show you. We're going to have to corner around everywhere this is going to come together. Does that make sense? So even here where it folds. And I want you to notice that putting this in can be a little tricky when you have all these folds. But if you'll just kind of fold everything down, you can then get in there and get to those corners. Even here, if I fold this back, I can now get in there and get that little guy nice and trimmed into his round shape. I'm going to do this in while I've got him folded. And I'm going to literally go through and corner around every single rectangle. So I got those. All right, now I need to do this end. So I will tuck that behind. That's what I was going to say. I'll tuck that behind, and then I'm going to come over here and tuck this behind. So you can see now we have corner rounded. We don't have to worry about the flaps. They're going away, but we've corner rounded this one, and this one. And now we need to do the same here. Okay, it just looks cute when it's finished, all right? So now we can assemble this lid. So let's take our little flaps. Let's add our glue to those guys. And then turn it in like so. And look what happens when you corner around the way we just did. Look how cute that little edge is. It looks like you did this on a die cut machine or an electronic cut, like an SVG file, although you did it with just your little tools. And I think it looks cool. All right, so I'm going to fold all these little lid pieces up, matching up our little corner rounded edges. like that. Bring this guy in. And glue him down. And the same on the other side. So this then is your picnic lid. Now this fold I did not fold backwards, so let me fold it back a little bit. So this becomes the lid for your basket. Let's bring our basket back over. So here's our base, here's our lid, and all you do is just make sure your little flaps are out. Is that not precious? Look at that. Let me lay it down flat. Is that not the cutest thing? And so these pieces can go like this. Now let me say something. If you wanted this lid to be mounted permanently so it doesn't lift off, those pieces we tucked under, you'll glue down here. And then you have a traditional a picnic basket. So if you're just wanting to give somebody a basket full of candy and the lid doesn't have to lift off, that's how to do it. But what we're making, this lid really does need to be fully accessible. So again, if you don't want it to come off, just glue these pieces down here and here instead of tucking them under, and then it will hold this in place and you can lift up the sides only, and that's a super cute gift. But we have to go a step further. So now let's put our handle on. Now for your handle pieces, you're gonna need one piece that is 1 inch by 12 and one piece that is 1 inch by 10.5. Now your 10.5 inch piece, we're gonna score it at 1 inch on either end. So I'm going to score 1 inch here, and then on the other end, I'm going to score it at 9.5. Now, these are just design marks. These are just to tell us where to glue this guy together, so you won't be necessarily folding those. All right, so with this piece, we want to extend this out, and we're going to make a loop out of it. And I know you're just going to have to go with me on this. It's weird until it's done. So on that little piece we scored, we're going to put glue from the score line back, okay? And then I'm going to use my cutting mat to help me get this pretty straight. Now I'm going to take this piece and overlap it to the score line and glue that down. And this will make sense when we get done. Now, I'm not worried about my wood not matching up. That doesn't bother me. If it bothers you, make sure you cut your paper so that cannot be the case. All right, and now what I'm going to do is on this side, I'm going to fold it where I can get to it. I'm going to put glue on the other side of that score mark. And then I'm going to bring the end over, and we're going to glue this end down from the score mark down, okay? So score mark down. And this handle is going to wrap all the way around the basket. There's a couple reasons for that. One, stability, because I think it'll be cool and help it be nice and sturdy. And two, I did not like piecing the handle together where it was kind of at the top, and I couldn't really get the piecing at the bottom like I wanted it, so this is how we're going to do it. All right, so with your basket, all right, you're going to take it and you're going to sit it inside this circle, all right? Now, on the edge, what I have tried to do, and it probably won't be perfect, is I've tried to make this where that overlap is even with your lid, okay? So you'll see on one side, it's even with our lid here. And if I turn it over awkwardly, and I pull this up, you might have to tweak it just a little bit, and I am having to. You'll pull it like this, and you'll get it kind of centered on both sides. It's not going to be perfectly even with the lid, but that's okay. All right, and then at the bottom, I'm going to get this where I can hold it. I'm going to make some folds for this, okay? So I'm going to make a little mark there and make a little mark there, and then I'm going to take it out. I know this is awkward, but you'll get it done. Don't stress. These I want to crease, those little fold marks I just created, because I want that to be nice and sturdy, and that's how my handle will go. All right, so remember how I told you if you were going to have a wide cut anywhere, that at the top here would be where you wanted that wide cut, and this is why. If these guys are touching in any way, then they are going to not close well. Does that make sense? So you want to make sure when you glue this down, you find the center between those guys, and you glue it down in such a way that they have plenty of movement, or you trim a little extra off here. So this side looks good. I'm going to put some glue down. Just going to come underneath it, put a little glue like that, and go ahead and get part of this glued down before I keep messing with all of it. You reach underneath there and pull that up. And again, I just want to double check that my lid is free, and it is on that side. Looks good. So I'm going to take the lid out for a second and lay this down and squish it. I know that one's in a good spot. Now what I'm going to do is glue the bottom down. And remember how I told you that your seams would go away? This is where those seams on the side are not going to matter anymore. Glue that down as straight as I can there. I'm going to put my lid back on just to double check this. and see if I've got plenty of room here. Get that together. And it's a little off on this side, so I'm going to make an adjustment at the bottom and pull it over a little bit. And then I can do any trimming I need to also on my lid. So I'm going to glue this down. You just can't be perfect, guys. It's paper. Between all the scoring and the folding and the gluing that we do, it's just not going to be absolutely perfect. But that's okay. Just adjust it. All right, so there's that. Now let me show you where I'm going to make some trims. So you can see I've got my handle where it needs to be, but do you see how I'm overlapping under here? Do you see that? And I'm overlapping on this side just a tiny bit. I went wide one way, but not the other. So I'm going to widen that out, and it's not a big deal. It won't matter. You just want to make sure that your lid lays well. So I'm going to take my scissors right here, and I'm just going to come up the side, and I'm going to cut a piece away. Pretty good width, because I need it. Now, yours may work out the first time perfect, and let me tell you why I say that, because my first one was great. This one, I got a little off. Not the end of the world. We're just going to make some trims here, and we're going to re-corner around that, and no one will ever be the wiser, right? Sometimes this happens. It's not a big deal. Things have to be adjusted. I'm going to push this down in here and get my corner as good as I can. I might not can get it perfect. So after a little bit of finagling, I got it done. It's not perfect, but it works. And I can always put something cute there to kind of cover that up. But now you can see it's a picnic basket in that it opens like a picnic basket, but the lid can lift off so that when we put our cards in, and right now I just have an envelope to show you. When we put our cards in to make this a gift, look how well they're gonna fit, right? And that's the most important thing, is that when we decorate, and all the little bits here in the middle aren't going to be an issue. All right, so the last thing I wanted to do really quick, because I think this will be so cute before we start working on our cards, is I think it'd be cute to take that red plaid paper and make it like a picnic blanket. Well, picnic blanket or tablecloth. Wouldn't it be cute to have this kind of sticking out here, like little points? I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it, because I don't know exactly how far I want it to stick down, but I think it would be cute, and it might even cover that center and hide some of my workings. So let me see how I can figure this out. Okay, so look, I've cut 2 edges off. You can see. This is what I'm doing. I'm putting this into my trimmer. At the 3-inch mark, I'm finding the grid. See, I'm taking that to the grid. All right. Then out here, I'm matching up and making sure I'm at an even grid. It doesn't really matter as long as we get a nice point. See how that one's a little different? It's not going to matter. It's going to mimic like cloth, and cloth can lay any old way it wants to. The big thing for me is I want my points to be 3 inches long. So that's what I'm doing here by matching these up. And I need 4 of those. Now what I was thinking I would do, because I think this would be cute, is like glue one this way and let it wrap around that side and have a point there. And I even like how it's covering here. I know that it wouldn't necessarily, but it's kind of cute. And then have a point over here where it will wrap around. So kind of like we're in the decorating phase at this point, but I want to see how that looks with the lid on. So I think that's super cute, and I think it'd be really cute if I add like a flower or something right here to kind of cover the center working. So what I'm going to do is glue this down like this on this side and the other side. So you saw how I got my points, and then I just played around until it laid where I wanted it. What I'm going to do is crease this edge so I'll know where to glue it to. So just crease that down as good as I can to give me a mark. And I'm going to do the same on this side, just to give me a place to go to. And now I'm going to glue this down. I'm only going to glue it at the top. If the bottom is loose, I'm okay with that. I think it'll be cute like a, you know, like a blanket would be. So just run some glue at the top, wrap that little point around, and then line this up at the top. And that's where I want that to live. And I think that's cute. Looks just like we have a little blanket or maybe some napkins spilling out. You guys, look how cute this is. Are you kidding me? This is adorable. Let's see what we can put here for stickers. If the stickers will work. I don't know if they will or not. I do have the, look at that little sunshine would be cute over there. And maybe the little strawberries or even a pineapple, you know, to kind of cover that little spot. Let's do this. Let's see what this little sunshine looks like. If I were to take it And if I powdered it and then popped it up on foam, that would be cute because then everything was still open. So let's hold that one aside and let's find something else about the same size. That watermelon's super cute. These little flowers might work on the other side too. Let's check that one out. So, see, that's cute too. Let's hold that one out. I'm still looking. So I decided those are the ones. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to powder the backs of these until they are not sticky anymore. I don't always do that, but because I want this to be popped up a little bit and to be in the middle of a spot where I don't want it to be sticky, I'm going to make sure I get all the sticky off. By the way, this is just my embossing powder tool. Look, it always leaves like a crime scene behind. Isn't that hilarious? It's just my embossing powder tool, but you can do this with like cosmetic powder, baby powder, cornstarch, anything. As long as you're getting the sticky off the back, that's all we're trying to accomplish. That's perfect. That's not sticky at all anymore. So now I have a little piece I can pop up. Let's do the same with the flowers. So now I just want to pop these up on the side, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my foam on my piece first. And I'm going to put 2 layers so it'll stick out really far. So there's layer 1. Just using some Foam Me Up Scotty to do this with. All right, and then layer 2. This way I know those little lid pieces will not hit the little piece that we're putting in the middle. So let's do the sunshine first. I'm going to add a little glue on here because of all the powder. Look at that, so cute, and it's lifted up plenty, so these aren't messed with at all. And look how clean and neat it looks. Let's flip it over. Let's do the other side. Look how stinking adorable that is. So cute. And really not hard to make, right? Can you see giving this to somebody full of cards? That's exactly what we're going to do. So that is the basket all completed. And then on Tuesday, we're going to use the rest of our paper pack to make the mini Slimline cards to fit inside here. And we'll load it up with as many envelopes and cards as it will hold. Won't that be cute? What a great gift, or for yourself. I just think it's kind of fun sometimes to have something cute sitting on our desk that's holding our cards and we can just dig into them as we need them, and I think it's perfect. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. It was just something that popped into my brain and I wanted to try to do, and I think it turned out so cute. All right, until Tuesday, all you need to do is do this part. Get caught up with me here and have your basket all made. Then on Tuesday, we'll put our cards together. Now, you know the deal. If you're making this, I want to see it. I love seeing what you guys do to make my ideas so much better. So the places you can see that are 2. There is our customer gallery at maymaymadeit.com or on our Discord where we have a share room where you can share photos of what you're making. And be sure to subscribe. It doesn't cost a thing to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and that way when I post a video, you know that I'm posting it. All right, guys, thanks so much for being here today. And until next time, bye now.